Dear students, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I am Manzur Ahmad Gala, lecturer history. Today we are going to start unit number 8 of our syllabus in 12th class history subject, and the name of the unit is the Sufi and Bhakti traditions. Dear students, in this unit we have to talk about the two religious movements. One is Sufism, it is a religious movement related to Islam, and the second is Bhaktiism or Bhakti movement. It is a religious movement related to Hinduism. So in this unit, we have to study about these two movements, the features of these two movements, the teachings of these two movements, the scholars and this great personalities related with these two movements, and other aspects of these two movements we have to study in this unit. And the very first topic that we have to go through is the Sufism in India. Dear students, the origin of Sufism, as you know, is a movement which is related to Islam, and its origin can be traced back in the lands of Arabia. It is believed that during the Umayyad dynasty, which ruled over the Islamic lands in Arabia from 661 AD to 750 AD, during the Umayyad rule in the areas of Basra and Kufa, which are now parts of modern Iraq, in these two areas of Basra and Kufa, a group of religious people came out. They renounced, they gave up worldly desires, worldly health, worldly richness, and dedicated themselves to the cause of Islam, to the cause of God. They gave up all worldly desires, richness, and all other things and wealths, and dedicated themselves to the cause of God. And these personalities who dedicated themselves to the cause of God left worldly desires, left worldly richness, left worldly health, wealth, and all other things, and dedicated themselves to the cause of God, came to be known as Sufis. Why these are called Sufis? Because it is believed that whosoever left this worldly desires, worldly richness, and have this wealth, and dedicated himself to the cause of God, used to wear a kind of woolen garment. And this wearing a woolen garment was a kind of symbol or a kind of an identification of the person who left the worldly desires and dedicated himself to the cause of God. Therefore, the persons who dedicated themselves to the cause of God and left the worldly desires wear this woolen garment, and this wool in their language was known as Suf. And therefore, the people who wear these woolen garments and came and dedicated themselves to the cause of Islam came to be known as Sufis, because the garment they wear was known as Suf in their own language. Therefore they came to be known as Sufis. However, with the passage of time, this Suf did not remain the identification of being a Sufi. This changed. But I talk of the origin. We talk here of the origin. Origin was that the personalities who dedicated themselves to the cause of religion, and by wearing a woolen garment, wool in their language was known as Suf, and therefore they came to be known as Sufis. And whatever then these Sufis preached came to be known as Sufism. And we understand, dear students, with the passage of time, this movement of Sufism became so established, so well organized, that it did not remain only confined to Arabia. It spread to far off lands. It spread to Central Asia, and from Central Asia, this movement reached India. We also need to keep one thing in mind, that while reaching to far off lands, this movement, the local elements, the local customs and rituals of different parts also incorporated into Sufism. Therefore, when Sufism reached different place of the world, it did not remain the same as it was in Arabia. The shape of which was in Arabia. And so when we talk of India, this Sufism reached to different parts of the world. It reached Central Asia as well, and from Central Asia it reached to India in 11th and 12th centuries AD. And different Sufi leaders preached Sufism in different parts of India, and it was because of this Sufism that we can say a large number of Hindus, non-Muslims, got converted to Islam, and a Muslim population rose in great proportions in different parts of India. The important teachings of Sufism which Sufis preached can be discussed as under. Number one, it is believed that Sufis believed in one God. Sufi preached that there is one God, though the same God is known by different names. And they also preached the God is formless, means the God has no images, no idols, no statues, and he is immortal. No one can kill. The God is not going to die. God has neither he has got birth nor is going to die. God has neither any origin nor he has any end. So God is immortal. He is omnipotent. He is omnipresent, and he is omniscient. So we need to understand. Number two, there's Sufis. The teaching of Sufis was that they taught about the principle of uh, Peer and Murid. Peer, which differently called as Sheikh or Murshid, and Murid. Peer, which we call as spiritual leader, spiritual father, which we call spiritual personality, spiritual guide of the, and Murid is called his disciple. So the concept of peer, also known as guru, also known as sheikh, murshid, and murid, known as disciple, this concept has most important place in the ideas of Sufism, the philosophy of Sufism. Means that Sufis believed that a person cannot reach to any goal. He cannot reach salvation. He cannot fulfill his desires. He cannot overcome the problems if he does not have a peer, if he does not have a guide, if he does not have a spiritual guide. And any person who wants to reach God, he has to become definitely he has to become someone's murid. He has to become the murid of a spiritual person. So this concept of peer and murid means peer means the pathfinder, means the guide, in other words we can say, and murid means his disciple. So every person who in this world wants to reach God, who in this world wants to solve all problems, who in this world wants to see salvation for himself, the only way is to seek guidance from Murshid, seek guidance from peer. This is what we call the concept of Sufi, the peer and murid, and the concept of Sufism. Number third, Sufis believe that this world is deception. This world is deception, and therefore everyone should follow the policy of a zuhad. Zuhad means renouncing this world. Renouncing this worldly desires, giving up worldly desires. This is what Sufis called as zuhad. And they taught people that they should go for the rely on one God only. Rely on one God, ask him for his help and all other things. That's what they call as tawakkul. What Sufis call as tawakkul. So Sufis preached that a human being should renounce the worldly affairs, worldly desires, known as which are called as zuhad, and they should rely on one God only, which are called as tawakkul. And they also preached that humans should not remain clinging to this world like anything. They should only remain in this world to fulfill their daily needs, not amass wealth, not great huge wealth and richness and all other things. Number next, Sufis preach that everyone must surrender before the will of God. Will of God must be final, and that is must for the salvation of mankind. And God can be recognized. God, we can reach God, we can see union with God only when we are in complete devotion and dedication on love with God. And that devotion and that dedication was called as ishq. Sufis also preached that everyone must give up the bad deeds like ego, like this violence, like ill will, like dishonesty, like jealous, and all other things, and live a simple and a very pious life. Another important teaching, Sufism believed that the greatest service, greatest job a man could do in this world was that he should service mankind. He should not see who is Muslim and who is non-Muslim. The service to mankind was the best service which Sufis considered thus the job of a man in this world, the service of a man in this world. Now next, Sufis believed that everyone should follow religious rituals like Salah, like Rosa, this fastest, like Zakat, this charity, like pilgrimage, and all other things which Muslims follow. But if man's heart is full with jealous, dishonesty, ill will, or filth, dirt, then this prayer is not going to work for anything. And Another important teaching: Sufis were completely against the caste system. They preached that every human beings, or all human beings, are the children of same God. So there is no concept of thought of high and low in the society, which should not be followed. And this menace of caste system should be abolished and ended at all costs. It was because of this message of equality, wherein Sufis preached, that a huge number of these non-Muslims who had faced the problem of caste system in India for ages together, for centuries together, when they saw the message of equality and peace and of the Sufis, all these non-Muslims embraced Islam in large numbers.